Welcome in, everybody, to the Paladins Premier League. We're coming down to the wire here. Just a couple of weeks of competition left. My name is Pretty here. I'm joined here on the desk by my good friend David Dolson Olson to bring you the action. We've got some really exciting matches for you today. The epic conclusion of the PPL is officially underway this week and next week. Still has a lot of games to play and a lot to be decided. We are not fully locked in here for top four. And for those of you that are wondering, what does top four mean? Well, that means auto qualification into the HRX finals bracket.
And, Virtus.Pro is going to have 4 matches this week, and that's who you have to keep your eyes on.
Wow.
You look at the standings here, and Space Station only have 2 matches left to play this split. Virtus.Pro have about 5, and there are 2 wins separating them. So with 1 win today, Virtus.Pro will lock themselves in as 3 wins ahead of SSG, while SSG will only have 2 games left to play. So Virtus.Pro locked themselves into that top 4 spot. Not necessarily, though, locked in as number 4. There's still some shifting that could happen between 3, 4, even up to 2, depending on how NIP look throughout the rest of this split. So definitely some shifting to happen there. And then even down beneath, Pittsburgh Knights starting to gain some ground on SSG as well. So while the top 4 could and maybe should be locked in today, after this first matchup, I think there's definitely still some shifting, some up and down that could happen.
Yeah, some teams have, the PPL ebbs and flows, right? Like you mentioned, SSG just have the couple of games left. It's surprising how fast they've been able to kind of catch up and get all those games played. But VP have the Lions share. 5 games still left to play. They've been on a long, long break, Dave. And what does that mean? For me, it's rust. It's question marks.
That's the question mark. Yep.
Right? They've been a really, really hot team, crushing everyone. But have they gone cold over that break? Having a lot of big, important games to play here. We just had, some guys in the studio yesterday doing some content. Vex was one of them.
Yep.
Not a mention of it, right? Not an excuse in the building. I think that's one of the things I've always liked about Vex. It's never been about that for him. No mention of any bad practice or anything. And in fact, they said that break was rather rejuvenating to them.
Yeah, I agree. And you kind of drew a comparison to Space Station Gaming, and it's the difference that if Virtus.Pro are able to come out hot, I still think they're maybe the team to beat here in this league. And a lot of it's on Vex. I mean, the support play in this league, and maybe it's, we're getting a closer eye on it, but Vex is pretty much in the conversation on who we should highlight on any given game every single time these guys play. And it's kind of that do-it-all nature that he brings to the table, such a mind for the game. The offensive presence is there, whether he's playing Furia, whether he's playing Ying.
Yeah.
The ultimates are well-timed. They all hit their mark. So I kind of like to say, outside of healing, he's very good at kind of providing that little bit of extra to his team.
This just in. Something in the Renegades room. Oof.
Oh, no.
Handsome devil there, boys.
Well, that's what he gets. You guys can't see it, but the background of our laptops are our faces that the other guys capture while they're sitting here and we're casting or something. But I can't say that's undeserved for Kresnik to be on the background of.
Love it.
Is that permanently that background of that computer? It might be.
Until somebody changes it. No king rules forever, my son. And VP, a lot to settle today. A lot of scores. They, in my mind, were one of the champions of Furia becoming such a popular champion. And though balance changes have been slow this year, we've made less changes directly to the numbers of the game than we have any year prior. But yet I feel like we've seen way more metas evolve because of that, right? And that's one of my biggest questions that I have for VP. With such a long break, there has been a shift, right? They weren't quite here for the full fury of Strix's emergence.
That's true.
How do they deal with that? Of course, one of the best coaches in the league as well, and Spuds, this guy always feels like he's really on top of it, kind of watching every movement in the league. So getting these guys, or keeping these guys up to speed, I guess, is the better word, because, again, when they left for their break, they were the top dogs. And
I'm sure they'll feel confident. And when we're looking at the standings, I kind of brought up they could and maybe should clinch that top 4 spot with a win here over the Renegades. I imagine they'll come out of the gate swinging. Kresnik saw the background and is now giving the Renegades a stern talking to. But, looking at the Renegades, it's always hard to put a kind of a finger on these guys, because the tried and true is if you're, putting your money down on a team, it's going to be Virtus.Pro in this matchup. And, it's hard to talk about kind of that win over Na'Vi at the beginning of the split, because at some point, I think it's unfair to keep bringing that up week after week. Well, they beat Na'Vi early on in the split. They could have a big upset here today. I mean, it's true, and you see with, in Vocal, as consistent as he is, they give themselves a chance in a lot of these matchups. It's just kind of getting over that hump. And Virtus.Pro, I think this is a similar caliber matchup to that Na'Vi game, and they're going to have to bring everything they've got to beat VP.
Comes down to preparation. I think a big conversation around the Renegades, and specifically in Vocal's reputation, is one of just this guy always manages a way to put it together. Some crazy KD, some huge damage number. It's some weird statistic that it's like, how are you doing this while your team gets 4-0'd? It doesn't add up. He's one of the pop-off actors for the Renegades, definitely.
Agreed.
He's got his couple of characters, Victors and Strixes, and just a real pure hit scan player. Probably one of the best Victors in the league, if not the world. I think if you're the best in this league, obviously you're the best in the world.
Agreed.
But he's one of the few guys that can go to it with confidence, and you don't see that pick locked in for the Renegades, and you don't question it, right? You know what that caliber is. Like, this player is going to be able to pop off, and he's a big part of the Renegades' success. Guys, we're ready to get into VP Renegades. How rusty is VP? Can the Renegades have one of those, pop-off performances to get themselves the upset? Remember, a single win here today for Virtus.Pro locks them in top 4 for HRX, and they're going to move straight into that finals bracket, not have to worry about the placement week. Which, talking to a lot of teams, some teams see it as a pro, and some teams see it as a con.
Honestly, it's interesting Jag Falls is map number 1, but to kind of continue on that vein, it's kind of this interesting conversation, because once you lock in top 4, the next time you have to play, barring any final split 2 games, is, a couple Saturdays from now, whereas technically the bottom 4 teams in the PPL and the console teams and the minor league teams that are coming in are going to have, granted, a grueling week, but a week of games to kind of stay on top of, the competition, the competitive atmosphere. Sure. So, obviously going straight to the quarterfinals is a win, but, maybe not without a little bit of trade-off. I think regardless, though, Virtus.Pro, they're looking for the win here. They're looking to grab themselves a spot in the quarters. But the Renegades, again, I think that on any given day, they can kind of bring that extra little oomph and maybe make life difficult.
And I think, seeding is a big thing. You guys follow along and chat with this draft, because I want to talk about this. You guys can look at the character pictures and feel good about yourselves. Seeding is a weird thing this year, because with records not carrying over, your performance in the first phase has such a resounding impact on where you're going to be seeded, right? That's, we're playing 28 games a phase. It has an effect. It has a crazy big, 28 games for the year. It has this crazy big effect where you look at a team like NIP, who was so undefeated for so long, fall into this slump, but they're still second seed overall. Does that make sense? Virtus.Pro, they made so many big roster changes. They had their own slumps. They came into Phase 2 6th seed, and they're crushing everyone. So seeding is kind of strange, right? It is done over the whole year. I would say Na'Vi and Envy have their kind of they were pretty consistent all year long with where they've been performing, and it's pretty reflective in the standings. But I even start to factor in the Knights for if I'm a team going through placement league. I'm scared of the Knights right now, right?
I agree.
They're not playing like a 7th seed team. That's not really reflective of, I feel like, their recent power. So seeding is going to be really important. We might be locking in a team here with this set, but you have to continue to watch to see where seeding plays out, because I think it's going to have a bigger impact than it ever has before.
I agree. I mean, I think you could probably make an argument for any team in this league. Some stronger than others, but I mean, if Virtus.Pro lock in 4th spot, and barring a big, actually, I believe Space Station, the lowest they would drop is 5th. The Knights only have 1 more game, and they're 2 wins behind SSG. That'd be a Virtus.Pro SSG quarterfinal in a 4 vs. 5 matchup. So lots to look at there.
Well, I know I said I wouldn't reference the draft, and I would just let you guys watch the pretty pictures light up. But we have not seen a Strix picked or banned. Now, it is
Okay.
Jaguar Falls. I'll give you that. But it's starting to kind of become this any map pick. And especially, I feel, when you've got a Raze and Invocal involved. I mean, these guys could do it anywhere, just like Fish could do Eevee anywhere he wants.
I think that Cassie and Leon, maybe in their minds, are just maybe a little bit more consistent on Jag Falls, because I don't think there's a lot of fall off for either of Raze or Invocal to a Cassie or to a Leon. Honestly, on the Strix conversation, I think we got to look at that Kanga matchup next, because they have given Chronix the Strix every single game. Maybe that has more bearing, but a couple good drafts here to kick it off.
I can't wait for this one, guys. Let's see what VP looked like in Game 1.
Welcome back, guys, or at least I should say welcome in to the very first game, Jaguar Falls. Of course, Fawn, Kresnik here on the mic, ready to show you guys Game 1.
And VP, I think, have a chance to show us a pretty good game, too. That's a solid draft for Jag. Genos, Pip. Normally, could be a little concerned about how that Inara might handle the Genos heals, but Pip's going to supplement it quite a bit, and I think we've seen enough about how impactful a Pip can be on Jaguar Falls.
And we talked about this before when we were actually in the green room about the fact that, I mean, VP haven't played since week 8.
Yeah.
So literally coming into this matchup, I don't know what they've been doing, like how hard they've been practicing, if they've been preparing for such. But I think Renegades have at least a decent chance to be able to surprise VP with just the fact they have experience.
If there was a chance for Renegades to do something to the monolith that has been VP lately, it would be today.
I agree.
Not only are VP kind of coming in cold to the PPL after a couple weeks off, but they also haven't. I don't think they've played a matchup in this meta yet since the changes, since the shift to Torvald and everything. It's basically a completely new experience for them, but just looking at the draft, it doesn't seem like they're too caught off guard. We'll have to see how the execution is and how their team play ends up turning out.
Right, yeah. Provided they actually meet VP, which they are by the statue. The bombs from Shadow to at least be able to zone him out. He was looking pretty low, but gets healed right back up to at least keep him in the fight. But a good shot from a Raze. Poppy bombs himself up right into the line of sight of him. Now they're missing one target. Moonchopper's low in the back, and Renegades are going to have to adjust themselves so that way they don't get picked off and end up losing pressure entirely.
This is a decent disengage, but I think they have to go further. They're just getting pinched by Fish and Doe here. Hero's going to have to go die on the point, but at 57%, I don't think any amount of stall will buy enough time for a retake.
Viral and Hero got lost. Their lives were lost, at least, in that very, very last fight, or the exchanges it was that we saw happening. Moon's really low, too. He has to back up. And Fasheko, and I mean, Fasheko and Dosif, both of them, are finding their aggression over here on the flank. Like, a Raze is firing shots up a Hero. He's pinning him down. Dosif's and Fasheko on the side are applying pressure over there. It's like, it's hard for Renegades to find their opening right now.
After that initial pick with how well split VP was, Renegades just had to give either give even more ground or just find an aggressive play. And aggression might be what they're looking for now with 2 picks here. A little bit of an overzealous push from VP. The cart's not really that far, so it's just going to be cleanup duty, I think, for RNG as they try to collect their credits. This pressure up. Very aggressive play here.
Wow.
Evil Mojo, but honestly, they trade out their own pip for it, and Moonchopper finds 2.
They've lost a lot from that, actually. The Evil Mojo was good, but Moonchopper had already ended up picking up that 3rd kill during that little fight right there. They got rid of Dosips, they got the pick, and now they have a zone. This is Renegade's chance. They have the ability to be able to put on a very, very good defense and burn some time down to prevent VP from getting back to the point.
There's a really aggressive Evil Mojo there, and I'm not sure if they met with an appealing Dread Serpent just to pull back VP just a little bit. And 2 kills already going in the way of Renegades.
They're looking pretty good. I mean, on the right flank, they're still holding extremely well. They have not afforded to give up any space whatsoever since they've been pushed up this far, which is good for them. I mean, Leon's all the way up at the top, which is good in terms of the damage charts. Shadow goes down on the right. That's a little bit unfortunate, and Vocal actually gets pushed up. But look at where Renegades are positioned. They might actually be in a bad spot here because of the fact that Anar's all the way in the back line already. Viral's subject to actually dying there, and Vocal got the kill onto Fasheko, but they've lost 3 members of Renegades. So not only do they have to back up, but Viral's going to have to jump off the side and stagger himself a little bit longer.
Well, but jumping off the side is better than letting the other team stagger
That's
you
true.
for sure.
That's
Viral
true.
will be back in time for when he's needed. And VP is kind of abusing a tendency that Renegades have had for a long time of being very stacked as a team. But when they make their push, they don't really fully cover every lane. So VP kind of see that. They're sending people on these off lanes to go very aggressive because they know that the Punisher won't be there now on this defense, Renegades are split, so it's going to be a lot tougher for them to come in. Good burst damage from Invocal to keep push back just a little bit more, but looks like this is their time to strike.
Oh, the Seismic Crash, the Hexafire, the through time and space, 3 ultimates, a 4th one on Renegade's side. The Dome Shield gets dropped, Doseps goes down, and now they're looking at Fasheko. He has to go on the point, using a little bit of that waitlist to keep himself maneuvering around the point, getting that overtime, heals himself back up. But Moonchopper is able to pick off a raise. Hero's really low. They've lost 2 members of their team. The Hexafire, not the Hexafire, but the Evil Mojo gets used directly onto the DPS right there, onto Invocal. But he's still alive. The Enlightenment comes through, but he still goes down.
VP are super willing to spend ults. Renegades look like they are too. King Bomb coming in the side, gets Fish, gets Cruncy now. Just Dose is standing on the point, but when picked down, there's no way the Anar can live.
Good defense from Renegades, just being able to stay calm in that situation, being able to maneuver themselves in a way that doesn't put them too out of the fight. Now that they're at 1-1, Renegades can definitely consider what they need to do to find the opening. And this was the Evil Mojo right there. That was like, Moonchopper got that 3rd kill during that fire after Invocal had gotten 1, after I believe Hero had gotten 1, and then he was just able to clean up. They got that defense, which was good for him, but they still got plenty of rounds.
Yeah, man, Moon cleaned up every kill in the end of that fight. That was definitely a bit of a rushed Evil Mojo in that situation for Fish. I think that last one might have been too. He's having kind of a rough go of it trying to use these to convert here. Only 14% on. We know how quickly that ultimate can charge. He should have it back up if this fight goes long. To see how long Renegades are willing to let it go, how aggressive they want to play. Scout is up though, and used, so nothing really aggressive that Renegades can do without all the information being out there for VP.
VP opting to not go statue side, at least as aggressively as they could. Cruncy got dismounted, and he's in this little dark room right here. He's firing at Moonchopper, but he's actually in the worse off spot here. We already see that Vex is pretty low in the back. It's going to force him back, but Renegades haven't touched the point yet. 48% already for VP, and it's still growing. They've got the aggression, but they have yet to touch the point.
I think Renegades are playing this decently smart. I mean, it was slow, but they were finding angles. They were finding damage, but that first trade, both backlines down.
Oh, nice.
Come on to the next trade, and it looks like it's going to be Fish with the overpower.
That's good. They got 2 kills. Hero actually moves up to apply that pressure into the room. Now they're all grouped up. They've got the Bomb King on their side. They can afford to do that. Vex is in the back. Shadow's throwing bombs at him. He gets blown up. Now they change targets to Dosep. He gets blown up. Now they're looking at a raise. He gets blown up. And Renegades are already looking great for this push on their aggression.
I thought you were going to say that they were blowing up. I was like, oh, that'd be sick.
Oh.
Now we're moving in here in Vocal, trying to fight Fish again, but the slow from Pip is just so long. Vex goes down again to Shadow. I'm not sure how he actually pulled that off, but this Seismic Crash doesn't look like it's going to connect on the... I'm sorry, they didn't use it yet. Now it's coming in here, but it's going to get countered by the King Bomb.
Good King Bomb to give himself CC immunity. The Hexafire as well. He's actually just staying against this wall to make sure he actually doesn't end up getting killed off by the Hexafire. But the good point is that they capture the point. They've gotten 2 kills. Dosas is a little bit far up, and at that point, you have Renegades still being able to push, still able to follow through, and they've got more than 2 minutes on the clock still.
You want to talk about zoning ultimates? Just watch that fight. That was literally 2 ultimates that could have done something, both just aiming at nothing, purely to keep the enemy team out. Shadow rolling the King Bomb into the wall to keep them from touching the objective. Seismic Crash used to maybe want them to get off point. Hexafire used to just stop the King Bomb from coming in. Shadow never wanted to come in anyway, so it all ended up paying off for Renegades, and they get their first point lead in this set.
With Shadow on the side, of course, with Moonchopper just waiting around those stairs, keeping an eye at the window as well, where Doseph's sitting. But if Vocal goes down, they're going to have to give up this pressure. Moonchopper's backing up. He gets Void Grip. They're actually just going to kill him, and they're going to keep moving forward to continue on with their zone. Big game damage coming out from a raise is going to leave Hero behind the corner, and they're still going to have to back up. VP, of course, are still pushing because they want the zone. They want to get this aggression going, and they're finding it. But, I mean, Joseph's on the side, 1v2ing right there. That's a little bit, it can still go either way.
Yeah, and honestly, these pushes from Renegades I feel like would be a lot easier if they just weren't. I feel like they're constantly just losing in Vocal to Pip slow. I think he just needs to get some resilience, play a little bit more defensive. Fish, speaking of defensive, that's not what VP wants to be doing right now. All of Renegades kind of clumped up in the backside. Fish has Evil Mojo, choosing not to use it. Only Squishies in front of him, and dope. Rip a bunch of CC on Leon, burns down in Vocal, and VP look like they're going to stabilize.
Yeah, they're going to stagger out. Well, not stagger out too bad, but they've got 45 seconds left. They still have time to be able to make it back and touch the payload. In Renegade's case, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still trying to find their opening. They found it. They're good. They're up 2-1 right now. And I mean, they're playing really well. They're adapting on the fly. They're doing good so far. But it's a matter of, can they close this game out, or if VP just already have them figured out and they just don't know it yet.
Look at this flank from VP kind of pinning Renegades in this
Oh,
corner. Also
wow.
walled in, but no deaths yet. They have to get a trade for this to be worth it, and they do find the one. Plus, Fishigo diving in with a great explosive blast.
The resilience already present on Cruncy is going to keep him very, very, low in terms of the CC timer. I mean, he's not going to be able to get stunned like that. You saw the snake bite actually happen, the Maldamba stun, and he just flinches it off. He doesn't even matter. 2-2 already because VP were able to pull off such a great wall from the Inara, and they were able to just collapse on them. But all 5 ultimates are up coming into this round now, Kristen.
Yeah, all 10 ultimates.
All 10, yeah, all 10, yeah.
Both sides have all of them, so this is honestly going to be who can execute that better. With an early scout, it's going to be tough for Renegades to find that space to make something happen unless VP doesn't really go for those kills, doesn't really smell blood in the water if they can't find that space off of this scout, because Renegades are going to disengage. Nobody wants to make a move with all the information out there, right? You need some kind of hidden information to make some of these plays on this map work. So we'll have to see how they adapt to it. Or if they just want to go in, maybe save the scout and just run it with an evil mojo. Hope they can find the right target. Have a couple of options. They also have Seismic Crash plus through time and space combo if they can find the less squishy targets. I think he needs to buy some resilience. I feel like his Explosive Blast is doing a number on him. Scout's going to come out first for Virtus.Pro. All that information out there. The Renegades want to trade a little, but just a little bit of a back and forth so far.
They use the Evil Mojo, but he actually shoots it all the way into the back. No one's there to actually follow up on that. Cruncy's low, so is Erase. The Dome Shield gets dropped, but so the Seismic Crash directly onto the point, which is going to stun Hero. They're going to get rid of him. They're going to get rid of Invocal. Now Renegades are grouping up. They still have 3 ultimates. They aren't going to use them quite yet. They don't have all their teammates yet, except for the overpower and good positioning from Moonchopper to be able to follow up and make sure they get that kill. The King dropping bombs coming in. He's going to look for effects. He's going to blow up, kill him, finish him off. And 12% for Renegades, 81 for VP, but they still are pushing forward. They still got Dosips, and with 24% and climbing, Renegades have a chance to capture this point.
Especially with the dismounts. With Invocal in this position, disengaging is going to make it a little tougher, but they do have some automatic hit scan to make it work. And Nara just now respawning, and she's the one you really want touching the objective. Invocal's playing a lot safer now. Looks like Ruckus and Pip coming in from the left side. You're going to have to stop this, really. Only Enlightenment's up, and Hero just burns immediately. Health bar from 100 to 0.
Moonchopper gets actually gets walled off, so that's a double for Erase. The Enlightenment comes out, but he's not able to use the wideness of that ultimate to be able to pick off Fasheko, who just ended up backing up. Cruncy and the rest of VP are pushing through main. They're pushing through side. Shadow has to watch these stairs, but it's only him. He has to back up. He has to poppy himself out. Doesn't want to get picked off. A good snake bite actually gets the stun on Cruncy on the side, but no one's there to follow up, and an even better wall to keep that payload rolling.
RNG was scared. They gave up so much ground just because maybe they had something coming in from VP where they didn't get the dismounts early enough. Doe mounted all the way up towards that initial choke before he got that touch. The Renegades was just a little more, I guess, confident in their positioning. Maybe they could have made something happen, but too confident. Invocal goes down to Erase trying to push an angle.
Sheko, I'll be wanting Hero right here, but of course he has the help of the Renegades from behind. They're all firing at him, which is why he was trying to strafe right there. They don't want to get hit too much. He drops the shield just for a little bit. A minute 35, 3-2 in VP's favor. If they round this corner, if they manage to get this pressure going and keep it going for just a little bit longer, they could end up winning the game. You see Cruncy on the side. Next pushing in. He's got the Hexafire. He wants to use that opportunity. Erase got viral. Cruncy gets 2. One of them on Renegade side actually gets Fasheko, but you already get team wiped. You got a 3 score. You're about to make it 4 in this case. Already double than what Renegades have on Jaguar Falls.
Great Hexafire there from Cruncy. Plus, it was combined with the Evil Mojo, too. That was an excellent combo. Moon couldn't buy any more time. Normally, maybe we'd see the shield into the shout and the Hexafire. Maybe Cruncy's like, oh, do I have to cancel it?
Sure.
But Evil Mojo, nothing that Moon can do to delay any longer. Goes down immediately right after Invocal slides directly into the Ruckus that was using it. That was a tough game for RNG. I feel like they had chances. They had opportunities they could have taken. Again, no dismounts on that third mid-fight. That was a big issue. I think Invocal needed to get resilience because he was just getting destroyed by the CC from the Pip. a couple tiny things. It gives me hope for this set, but Renegades have to find something quick.
Yeah, I mean, they were tied for like not a very long time, but they were
until that last
tied.
push.
Right, exactly. It was 2-2. VP were just able to take over. They just had too much planned out, or at least I believe their aggression was a little bit too much for Renegades to handle. Jaguar Falls is already done game 1, but we have plenty more games for you guys right after this break.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
Pretty back and forth there at the start, but an explosive end to game number 1 has the score going in favor of Virtus.Pro there. Not, too standard in terms of the draft.
Yeah.
Double blaster bans out. Fasheko's on Pip. I think that's only natural, right, with banning out what we thought was his champion pool, but he kind of proves to be a bit more flexible there on.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's kind of it's one of those, Fasheko's one of those kind of pick your poison guys, I think, to play against. I mean, you'll ban out the Drogos, you'll ban out the Willow. Still, he could play Pip if you left the Bomb King. I'm sure he would have felt fine on the Bomb King as well. And, post-game stats, I imagine it's going to be very similar to what we're used to. Huge performances from Invocal and Shadow for the Renegades. Invocal, a little bit less on the slash lines, had some good damage. Shadow, huge performance on the Bomb King. But then you just look at the consistency of Virtus.Pro, and their kind of slash lines, I think, tell the tale. Even though their front lines were mitigated a little bit, that's where a lot of those kills for Shadow went into. That's where a lot of Invocal's damage kind of poured into. Erase and Fasheko kind of open to do whatever they wanted that game.
Yeah, almost everyone's negative on Virtus.Pro. This is a very almost Na'Vi-esque win, right? A lot of Virtus.Pro loses the fight, but the objective is 99-3 in their favor. And it just doesn't matter at the end of the day when you're capturing what matters most, when you're really focused on that. That's just enough. See a quick kill there onto Invocal, normally known for having such an incredible slash line. Very shut down this game. Whether it was, I think, there is a lot to dive him there, right? Pip can dive Leon and do very, very well, especially early on. And Ruckus at almost all points of the game can just choose a target to sit. He might die for it. He's going to choose a target to sit on and just go kill that guy, right? It's all about making that death worth it. That's sort of the theme of Ruckus. Let's head to the map screen and see where this set will continue to play out. Remember, either team gets to choose one map through the first 2 games. Then after Splitstone Quarry, we're going to go to loser's pick here. 4-2 start for Virtus.Pro. I think all according to plan thus far. Very, very, very different flavor map, though, here on Splitstone Quarry.
Yeah, not surprised to see a Willow ban here first off as well. I'm interested in there's the first Strix kind of pick ban relevance so far in this set. I'm curious as to where the Renegades go here. Because you ban out Willow, which I think is strong, but I think that's less of a Fasheko target. I mean, it is because that's who would be playing the Willow. But if they followed up with like an Eevee or something ban, then they're really trying to limit Fasheko. Yeah. But they leave him open, and then, Maeve and Eevee kind of become that next tier of flank blaster mobility. And again, I think Fasheko can play both of them. I mean, maybe there's a drop-off from the potential of a Willow to the potential of an Eevee or a Maeve, but I don't know if it's all that much. I think it's smart that the Renegades identify a little off-tank early with the Khan, because so often that's been some of the weakness in this team is the front line, get Moonchopper on something comfortable. Khan is certainly one of those, and maybe start to build on something off of that. And I think Eevee this early on is good for Renegades, but also kind of taking something away from Fasheko. I think if it was still up in the next 2 picks for Virtus.Pro, they would have given that to him.
This is the Renegade special, man. With Strix out of the pool, Victor is where we look next for Invocal, and for Shadow, a world-class Eevee player. And as you saw last game, hell of a Bomb King as well. I think he'll do well going toe-to-toe with Fasheko on main blaster picks. Now, when you start to get a little bit more deep there, when you start to talk Pip, when you start to talk whatever else we might see here today, maybe something like a Mave, I think that's where Fasheko starts to kind of shine through as the stronger player. But now Virtus.Pro have that problem that they need to solve. And I think they have in the past, right? Fishy's been put in this situation before. Drugos is open. But Dave, it doesn't call to me here on Splitstone. Not with a Victor already picked.
I agree. I think it's smart to maybe pivot away from that one. I think must have been minor league earlier this week where I saw it was one of our minor league games where there was a Victor on Splitstone Corey who went untouched essentially the entire game, and needless to say, it did not go well for the other team. And we mentioned it pregame. Victor for Renegades is a pick that has not really been eyebrow raising. It's not one of those where you're suddenly wondering, well, there's a Victor being picked here. Invocal, so good, so strong on that champion. And another kind of late round Inara pick, the kind of flank off tank has been an early presence. They already have the Barrack locked in, so I think that's why Renegades are able to kind of pivot to Inara later on. And that was kind of what I was wondering. I mean, you have Fernando, maybe Terminus for your front line. But if those aren't options that are good to you, why not lock in 3 DPSs?
The answer, or the question that we had earlier was, have VP been able to stay on top of what has evolved in the meta in their absence? I think the answer is right there in front of us. This is another good time to highlight Barrack Genos being locked in very early for you offers a lot of flexibility. This could have very easily not been a 3 DPS draft. That being said, I don't think what the Renegades have is bad. I think this might be damn close to best in slot for a lot of these players. And if these Khan ults are hitting, that's a free kill at every round after the first.
Agreed.
I don't know. I don't feel bad about this Renegades draft.
No, I think it comes down to them playing the comfort, the core of their draft, as you point out. I think they have some strong ultimates. But if Mave and Buck are able to dive onto Invocal on this Victor, that's what they're going to look to do. He's going to have a tough time.
Buck hasn't crushed it yet. I haven't seen VP play it yet. Let's see what they've got.
Yeah, I'm curious to see this too, because I'm glad that Nick brought that up on the desk about how it's been a question of whether they've been able to keep up in the meta or watching things evolve. And we've seen Buck several times, not just from NIP, from a few other teams as well. I'm interested to see how VP are going to be able to use this Buck and maneuver it in a way that's going to make it threatening to the Renegades.
And I think they're going to use it in the way that Nick was saying, trying to pressure onto Invocal on Victor, but I think it might be kind of tough for that to happen. If I could just see his build for a moment once we use the talent screen. He's only running leg day 2 might be enough. I was going to ask about leg day specifically because of the distance that he kind of has to cross, or at least the height he has to have to get up onto the Victor. And look, you can see they know this is the plan. They have multiple people locking this down. They're relying on Invocal to deal with point pressure, and everyone else on the team is denying these flanks, protecting Invocal, playing around him super hard to make sure that they have the damage that they need to win that trade on point.
Well, Crunchy and the rest of you, you're already feeling the pressure. You're landing good shots with Shadow. He's a little bit too overzealous. Thankfully, they're at least able to trade 1-to-1, but this has given Buck the opportunity he wants. He gets snake bitten, he gets stunned, and it's going to allow Viral to back up, but he is still super low. Array's going to get the kill. That is absolutely huge to start off this fight for VP.
I was going to talk about how much patience Invocal's going to need, because he's going to have to wait for the flanks to come in and have someone with him. Because if he drops down, I feel like he's too much of a target. It happens the other way. He drops down early, it makes him safe. Viral's the one who gets caught up top and burnt down. Now you can see this from Crunchy, like day 2, giving him that height he needs. Now he's on Invocal. This DR might be too much, but Moonchopper's there to save him just in time.
He holds up the shield, making sure that to make sure his Victor doesn't go down. A good commander's grab on the Crunchy, but Fasheko. And, I mean, they're just focusing him. They burned him down immediately. Big Game playing another big role. They're burning down the Inara as well. Mirage comes out, but it's too spread out. They hide behind the corner in just enough time. And now Buck's going crazy. He's going Buck wild.
He got a triple there, basically cleaning up, a delayed triple cleaning up 2, and then one more. What a play by him in the last moments. Bringing out that Buck Wild, getting use out of it. Not something we actually normally see. And top damaging for his team over the Cassie right now. Great play by Cruncy so far. And the control he's brought here has been monstrous on this high ground drop to the low ground. So much self-sustain. Doesn't need the mark. It can go on everybody else. And this Buck can just play all on his own.
Joseph's doing a lot of damage. He's pushing up, but he's not afraid. The rest of VP are doing this. They're able to be in these backlines, controlled mineshaft, and just apply pressure through spawn, on point, on main. So many different angles. And VP are the ones that are sort of, they're sort of scrambling. The Ice Storm gets dropped from Shadow to at least make it a little bit harder for them to try and push up. They're grouped up. Moonchopper gets a double, and Vocal gets one. Thanks to a good Ice Storm, the fight is over.
And now just Vocal getting that cleanup there, and they can stand at this pretty strong defensive position. A couple ultimates online for VP to help them potentially break it, but I think it's going to have to be combo. They don't have anything to combo on their entire team, so it's going to have to be a raw through time and space more than anything. No setup, has to find the connect. They want to be able to break this. Or Cruncy could just own somebody on the high ground. He's up there and uncontested right now. Moon finally coming back for him, but they're getting all this space just because there's a Buck there. That's it.
I mean, yeah, he's eating a lot of damage into his shield as well, and I was going to mention the fact that Arrays went around on the side too. They get the kills they need for Sheko. I mean, Arrays. All of them, yeah, literally everyone. It's like I'm scrambling for words, but I'm trying to find out what do you do as Renegades to be able to counter this? Everyone is firing on all cylinders on VP's side with this triple DPS goal.
You just have to I think you just have to win the duel as Eevee. Not that that's a knock to Shadow, but I think it's a plus to Erase how well he's been playing. Barrage coming in just to buy a little bit of time, but the health on the team is so low. Both tanks low. Dread Serpent has to come out, but it might be enough to stabilize.
2 kills for Renegades. It's going to leave 2 dead on VP's side. Thankfully, this is going to be, I believe, some sort of opening for the Renegades to at least be able to hold on for another 20 seconds at least. Shadow blinks in, and immediately gets popped by Cruncy. Has to back off. He was just trying to scout out, trying to see where the team was at that point. 10 seconds left. Sheko engaged in a one-on-one on the side with Moon, and we already see that Hero is actually making his way around too, but he gets stopped in his tracks by Dosif. They're watching that area, and he's getting hit from the front, or Cruncy is hitting him from the back. Moonchopper is taking too much damage from too many different angles, and Renegades aren't able to defend. Already a 2-0 for VP.
Honestly, I think the most important part of that play there was Fish holding that high ground so easily, not getting contested at all. They used a barrage on him, and he just walked away like nothing happened. And this is Cruncy kind of controlling this area. Can't be shot from above because they'll have to overcommit, but always being in a position to follow up like this. This was that delayed triple he managed to get with the Buck Wild. Not the easiest ultimate in the world to find good value with because it doesn't give you any form of immunity or anything. You're just kind of shooting faster.
Right.
And that's good in some situations like that one, but sometimes it's hard to find the opportunity, and Cruncy was able to find it. Still top damaging for his team on this Buck after a full round, a full offense. See if it can continue, but at the way that they're playing, the way that they're utilizing this Buck to just keep applying that pressure, I think it can stay like that.
Oh no, the through time in space. I was watching to see if he was actually going to manage to pick somebody off with that, and he was. And you already see that the Renegades formation has already fallen apart just off of that one ultimate from Vex. Provided so much ground. Cruncy's all the way at the top. Erase, Joseph, so many of them are positioned aggressively. Renegades have to back up. A good overpower, though, to find their opening and to get rid of that point tank, their only tank. But Hero goes down too. Cruncy is being so aggressive. He's firing on all cylinders just together with the rest of his team. 69% for VP, and it is still climbing. No one has touched on Renegades except for Shadow, who was only able to get 7% for him.
Raze is almost unstoppable right now. Shadow does finally connect that shot, but his canceling of his daggers, moving around, has been on point so far for VP, and now Shadow wants to get aggressive, wants to just pressure them out, not let them poke this point at all. Their backline is the Cassie, a little bit less consistent in damage than the Victor, but look at that positioning he has in this Buck Wild coming in. They have both sides getting shoved at the same time.
Yeah, Moonchopper and Moonchopper and Shadow are able to at least watch out with what's going on, but you have so much pressure once again from all sides. Renegades have 99%. That's great. They've got a double kill. They're able to now focus on the priority targets, or at least the people that are giving them such a hard time. They got rid of Cruncy. They got rid of Erase. They found their opening. Now with 2 minutes and 25 seconds, they just captured the point. Now they can start finding their own momentum.
The presence that an Eevee can have on this map is so unreal. I mean, you could just see how quickly Erase is on one side to the other and finding kills the whole time, but They managed to slow him down, and Renegades have this forward positioning, the high ground, while they push the cart. Great wall by Hero, actually catches Cruncy in. That was great. Starting this 5v4 is going to make this significantly easier, especially if Vex gets caught out here too.
Nice, good grenade. He's tossing it out. And in this case, Vex is going to be the one that's going to eat all of the damage, gets bursted down, and Vocal's down in a good spot. He has Barrage up too. If he wants to use it, he can. They're in such a good position.
That would have been so good. That Barrage would have been, I was clutching my chest because I'm like, that will wipe their team.
Yeah, no, it will.
Right
he was in such a good spot to be able to use that Barrage, but he's opting to save it. He doesn't want to get too aggressive. You don't want to count your chickens before they can.
Well, see, Dread Serpent used to put Doe just in front of the shield, and if they can burn this solo tank, this point is going to be so much easier to convert. Erase barely makes it back in his... Look at Doe, he's in dire straits, and it looks like RNG might be able to convert this on the back of that. A constant stagger, a constant snowball that Renegades are putting out onto VP was the key for them to be able to turn that. They never got that double flank pressure. They always had one dead. And when they were both alive, they had Doe dead on point, so they could keep moving the objective. Or Vex would die on the side. No marks. Always somebody being picked off made that so easy for the Renegades.
Such a good ultimate for Vex, too. I mean, he hits it just at the right time. Extra spicy for Vex right there. He was able to get that kill, and you saw how that sort of spiraled them out of control. But I'm glad that you mentioned the stagger and how they were pressuring slowly but surely. VP were slowly being choked out that round. A good wall from Hero being able to pick off Cruncy almost instantly was what kept that ball rolling.
Yeah, they never let them get settled in that defensive spot.
Oh, no, not
Vex
again.
is 3-peeking right now to see the angle he wants to go for. Doesn't see any, so he doesn't take it. Smart by him. Holding onto it for now. And Victor has to react pretty quickly through time and space coming in to be able to get away, but it looks like he's maybe just going to hold onto it for now. Doesn't want to do it blind. It's just a little bit too unsafe. Everyone marked up, everyone rotating around, and the health on Renegades is looking not the best right now.
Yeah,
sure.
Hero's looking really, really low. Oh no, you're actually stuck in that little room right there with a big game already on you, already marked. Vocal goes down. Cruncy gets 2. He might get a 3rd. He's all the way in the back, I believe, still fighting Hero. He is going to get that 3rd kill. A triple kill for the Buck right there. Will this be a quadra? He tried to overpower in the air. Almost got him.
He got him. He did get him. He just didn't pull him in time.
Yeah, well, Pacheco ended up killing him just as he was about to get pulled in for that good awareness. But VP are just steamrolling right now. They are just, from the beginning of the rounds, they're able to keep this pressure going, and it's meaning a lot because they just got their 3rd point.
Everyone on RNG backed up, I think, to try to do with the flankers, but I don't think it was the right response because VP just took the space on the other side. Cruncy now still bullying Moon. This height difference makes it so difficult for Khan to keep his shield up. Cruncy might find an opening onto Vocal here, and Vocal sees it in the last moment. Only 1k HP, stuck between a rock and a hard place. Finally, Shadow pulls the pressure off and manages to save Vocal just for now.
Yeah, he was able to at least toss out a grenade without taking too much damage. Shadow saves him again. He was actually about to die to a raise. Good on him having that presence of mind to rotate around, get these kills. A double for Shadow. Saved Vocal twice. These two, man, when they play together, it is so hard to get them, just to separate them, because you've got good plays like this that lead with Renegades having another good defense.
Cruncy almost makes it up top to keep that positioning, but does go lower by Hero, so could potentially get walled off. And Vocal, great angle, catches a raise in main, trying to find a way up to the elevator, I assume, judging by where he's looking right now. And Shadow diving in, trying to get Doe, and gets it. So again, more staggers. That's exactly what RNG needs. You can't let VP execute his 5, because clearly that's just a mountain that's too much for Renegades to climb right now.
3 ultimates. You've got the Barrage, you've got Dread Serpent, you've got Seismic Crash. It's you still have a minute 10 left. If you really want to use them, you can use the ultimate. Same for VP. They've got 3 ultimates up too for a total of 6 ultimates. Hero's looking really low. Cruncy found his opportunity, but the Dread Serpent comes out immediately. He still gets feared by it on the drop of a dime. The Dread Serpent came out as soon as they heard Cruncy pop that ultimate, as soon as they heard him jump. It was used to peel for their team, but Vocal still went down. They're still being pressured, and they're still extremely low. You've got the Midnight as well. The Seismic Crash, literally a shot in the dark, gets the stun, the Barrage to zone them off. They have to use the ultimates, but the problem is that if they win, they won't have them for next round.
And Hero goes down, so Moon's going to have to drop to the cart soon. He's actually contesting from the top. It's perfect, but Cruncy's just finding everybody else. No tanks up, and Vocal has to solo tank. No
another
cardio.
Triple kill, dude. Another triple kill for Cruncy. Now they're looking at Shadow. Technically a quadra at that point. I mean, the man on the Buck, the off tank, he is being so strong throughout this game. It was so hard for Renegades to find their opening. They had it. And once again, just like Jack, it was tied, but they still just ended up losing because of that in-game pressure that VP had.
Also, a little bit of ult management, too. I mean, they were willing to use it at the end, but when you're defending in a 2-3 situation, that's the hardest moment, in my opinion. Because if you spend ultimates and they don't, then they're just going to beat you in the 3-3 mid-fight, right? They start committing ultimates, and you're like, well, what do we spend? It's tough, and Renegades were kind of caught in that back and forth. What do we use?
Yeah, rough game for the Renegades, but we still have plenty of more games to go. They've only gotten 2 points. VP 2-0 against the Renegades right now. Right after this break, we'll see if Renegades still have some spirit left.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Two in a row for Virtus.Pro, ladies and gentlemen. Great stuff from the Bears in black and orange. Pulling out a buck as well. Something not only have we seen very few full-time DPS players do, but much less an off-tank in a 3 DPS composition. Dave, I got to say, pretty surprised that worked out as well as it did. I think VP put their own stamp on it. And again, with so much that's viable in this meta, it's crazy how you just 1 week, all of a sudden, Buck's being played and Buck's doing well.
Well, I think they kind of figured early on, you see the Victor, you know where he wants to be. So let's draft like the most divey couple of damage dealers that we can that are still left on the board. And that threw a wrench into what the Renegades were trying to do. And it was outside of even just killing Invocal, because he still had a relatively good slash line. But you saw in any of those mid-fights, Moonchopper had to be up there, Viral had to be up top to try to peel for Invocal. So while all this skirmishing is happening on the Renegade side of the map, Virtus.Pro just send Dosups back to the point, or send Vex back to the point. It was like a 4-man press the entire game for Virtus.Pro.
Just to keep him off of it.
And at 15, 5, and 8. I guess that answers any questions about the Buck.
Doe 0-7 as well, and I maybe it's because of just they didn't prioritize him. They literally just gave these 3 DPS the heals and the bonus damage. That's a big part of this composition success as well. And anytime this didn't go well, or even took too long, that's probably where all those Dosups deaths are coming from. But I think the guys on Virtus.Pro got it done about as fast as you could possibly ask for. Some seriously landslide victories. And this is almost reminiscent of what we kind of saw in Jaguar Falls, right? Virtus.Pro are one of those teams, and part of it's just there's like this threshold where you're good enough to do this, I think, where even when the payload is still pretty far from conversion, like you're rounding that final corner, to have like the foresight of like, okay, we can pop, you know, this, and this here and get this done, right? To have that explosive potential to almost get a conversion whenever you want it. When you got the resources and you want it, there's not a lot that can stand in your way.
Agreed.
If this is that type of matchup for Virtus.Pro, it's going to be tough to slow down for Renegades.
Yeah, I'm nervous even outside of the Renegades for a lot of teams in the PPL. Virtus.Pro, the question coming into this matchup, still games to be played. Renegades have hung in these 2 points in each game. Frog Isle, of course, map 3. But, you know, the question was, can Virtus.Pro come back from effectively a month-long break?
Yeah.
Maybe it was like 3 weeks. And hit the gas pedal and be right back to where they were. I mean, honestly, I think the Renegades is kind of the perfect team to go up against your first week back from a long break. I mean, if they're going against Na'Vi, maybe practice hasn't quite been there. You look at SSG, they had a bunch of hard matchups their first week back.
Yeah.
You know, so whether this is, Virtus.Pro just against the Renegades or Virtus.Pro because they're still just that good after a break, even outside of the Renegades, I think it's scary for a lot of teams.
They got to play NIP later today.
That's true.
You know, this
You're right.
That's a good conversation to have, Dave, because if they win this, even if they win this 4-0, man, I'm still unconvinced. I'm still looking for that heat check against NIP, because this is a team that is a combination of European and North American natives. This is a team that I don't know how clean their practice is, and it seems like this break was largely for rejuvenation, chilling before the storm, which is HRX coming at the end of this year. So with players split up interregionally, I don't know who they're scrimming against, right? When Na'Vi go back, they're going to play All Business. They're going to play Penta. They're going to play Sour Team. When VP are all back at home, I'm not sure who they're squadding up and playing against, right? Because they're sundered, right? They're not in the same regions, you know, at home base. Same exact draft here, though, kicking off for Frog Isle, at least on the onset from what we saw on Split Stone Quarry. But these bands are a little bit different. Both snipers sat out. It's kind of funny how even on Timber Mill, Kinessa's not super looked at anymore. But for this, I think it's because it's kind of that meme at this point, but like I haven't casted a lot of Frog Isle. I don't think a lot of Frog Isle's been getting played.
No, I was somewhat surprised actually that you know, wasn't banned out, and now I'm more surprised that it's getting picked up here for the Renegades. I mean, maybe that's an edge for them. Play a map that's a little less traveled, I guess. You know, could give them a little bit of something extra. We have seen a couple instances, maybe one or two, of like the Strix banned out and then they still pivot to the Kinessa. The team that banned the Strix still grabs the Kinessa.
And I think okay.
Yeah, I think she's fine.
I don't mind Kinessa personally.
Especially with a Genos, actually. I mean, if Kinessa was still on the table here, I think that would be great for Virtus.Pro to pair with the Genos and with the Barrack, because those headshot damages, the steady aim bonus with a Genos mark is just a little bit too much. Renegades grabbed themselves a little bit of an edge, though, in Willow. Hasn't been played yet in this set. I think it's a great map for her to kind of just spam down onto the point, whether it's just Flutter, a big Faith Light can turn things around. And that's what the Renegades need. They need that extra little boost on the front line. And going up against Dosups and Crunchy has not been easy for Moonchopper or Hero yet in this set. So I think Willow for, I'm assuming, Shadow be pretty helpful, and not surprised actually to see Virtus.Pro taking the victor away from the Renegades, because I think that might have been coming next.
Because it is such a big take away from the Renegades. Both snipers banned away. Now they have Victor. What's left for Jaden? I would guess either Cassie or Maeve personally, just about what he's feeling on the day, because this is where you're starting to get a little deeper into his champion pool. A place where I think both Shadow and Invocal can go. But sometimes you get walked into your strongest champions just to be predictable and to be kind of countered. Because you can be counterpicked by a strong tier list champion, right? By something that's a little bit more niche, but specifically designed to defeat you. Not saying that's what Virtus.Pro are putting together here. I don't know if that's really enough to take Willow out of the sky with the Vic. We'll have to see what they round out with here. Fish still needs something. It'll be Drogos.
I don't mind the Drogos. I mean, it's really on Cassie and Khan, I think. Some of that a little bit more direct damage. I guess Cassie technically not. But to try to keep Freeze God from kind of flying free. I know Shadow on the Willow will have the chance to do that somewhat as well. But it's kind of, in my eyes, the battle of the two spammers. Because, I mean, picking a Victor, I think here is actually great into something like a Willow, and it's kind of that same conversation. If Erase on the Victor presumably is able to make life tough for Shadow, then that kind of steamrolls, and then Freeze God on the Drogos can make life more tough for the Renegades. I think both teams have a great draft, but I always have to lean VP in this matchup.
I love this, man. It feels like I was teleported back to March, and I'm drafting on Frog Isle. Kinessa's banned, Strix banned, and we got to see where the rest of it goes. Let's get down to Frog Isle with the casters.
Once again, VP getting the Barrack, getting the Genos. That's such a power pick for them, at least in the first two picks that VP opted to go for. What do you do, Kresnik, in that case? Do
like
you
against them?
Yeah, like, do you try to lock one of them in to take it away from them, or what do you do?
I think the Khan was a decent first pick. I just don't know about the Willow response, I think is the biggest thing for me. I mean, they already have the Barrack. We know, I guess maybe you don't want to give them Willow against Jornara, But I feel like Drogo's gives you a little bit more on this map in the sense of indirect fire, whereas Willow has to be looking at you. There's a lot of ways you can break line of sight. There's also some pretty big lines of sight, but I think. Okay.
Okay. All right. Don't start off like that.
All right, Shadow. That's fine. Just give me a heart attack at noon on a Thursday.
Okay. Oh my
Fish
goodness.
is putting on a decent amount of pressure here as Drogo's. Actually, a little more in the open than we think, but it's the backline for RNG. Cassie, a little harder to hit this Drogo's than the Victor would have if he was on the other side.
They're watching Danger pretty well on VP's side. Everyone's eating damage from either side, from either team, but no one's been killed yet. Everyone's just pretty much stepping on point, stepping off point, stepping on point, stepping back off on point. Nothing definitive. Everyone's
One step this time.
Yeah, right? Everyone's pretty much getting a lot of shots in, but Renegades are actually building that up more. 54% for them. Good shots in Danger from Shadow, dropping dead zone right there where Cruncy is. They're pretty much just opening fire, but the shoulder bash in. They're going to try and converge on Moonchopper, but they're all staring down at him. Actually, Barry gets off the point as well. The Commander's Grab throws him up, but that actually might be in a bad spot because now he can drop the wall. They do get two, though. Hero with a double kill, getting rid of Vex, getting rid of Cruncy. That's a great start to the fight already.
A little bit of over-aggression from Arrays, I think, honestly. He could have stayed in his angle and done not the best damage, but respectable damage, but have been safe at the end of the fight. He moves onto the point, and as soon as Renegades decide to re-push, that's when the Willow's going to work. The reason why Willow is kind of hit or miss on this map is because of the height difference. Never really giving her that advantage over you, but Arrays just was very kind and gifted Shadow a straight down spam angle. Dreadserpent coming in and manages to catch a raise, but the Dragon Punch should scare off Renegades enough to not let them follow up.
Yeah, they don't, but they were at least able to get a raise, just like you were saying. Cruncy takes care of Invocal, so they're looking at a 1-1 trade already, but they've got to back off. A good fire spin from Pacheco, another good fire spin, this time being Moonchopper's focus, being the only one that got hit. He's going to have to hold up that shield, try and back up through time and space as well. They really, really wanted that kill, and Cruncy the one that goes down for it. Seismic Crash. You aren't welcome here at all because now Barrick's stuck in that pit. He can't move anywhere. He gets picked off through time and space. A little bit too greedy, in my opinion, from VP because they are the ones that end up getting punished for that.
The time and space wasn't the end of the world. I don't think the time and space was what punished them. It was just pushing that deep into a team that has all their ultimates. And we can actually, I was going to say, maybe we can see a Fave Flight here from Shadow, but it's so risky against a Victor. I mean, you'll lose your HP before you can do much of anything. Moon pushing the right side right now, but can't get too aggressive, but the overpower will turn that fight for them.
It will, and you already see that Cruncy's on point, but he's half health. They're just focused firing right now directly onto him. A double kill for Moon. A good fire spin from Pacheco. If he hits another one, he doesn't even need to. The damage over time will be enough to take care of Invocal, but I mean, Pacheco's one of the only ones that's left. So is Vex. Doseps just got back up, and the payload is still pushing. Renegades have a full-on minute, a Fate Fight to be able to close this out. I don't typically agree with that one, but we're still going to end up having it be used. He's staring right at Doseps, and a good spot, too. They can't hit him from right there. He's going to switch targets directly on the Cruncy. He's firing onto him. Pacheco tries to find an opening by focus firing on Hero, but it doesn't matter. Renegades up 2-0 against VP.
That was a great use of the Fave Flight, not because it was necessary, because they could have potentially pushed it without it, but on the mid-fight, when are you going to get away with that against a Victor, against a Raze on Victor? Maybe if he makes that same mistake he made on the first mid-fight where he drops a little bit too forward, but using it there where you know it's going to work, you know you can play very safe, force them in super deep to shoot at you, and also deny the Barrack the shield to deny your spam. You're getting full damage the entire time. So great use of the Fate Flight, I would say, there by Shadow Enemy. This is not looking that great for VP. I mean, no kills on 3 of their members. Genos, that doesn't really matter for him, but only Cruncy with 1 kill, Fishko with 2, and a lot of Renegades streaking pretty hard right now. VP, they're going to have to find something, I think, huge with this assert dominance if they want to immediately turn this.
Well, they're already back in danger. Cruncy is getting fired on. Drops
danger the location,
yeah,
not danger the thought.
Well, I mean, they are technically in danger, at least on Renegade's side. The wall goes up, but Pacheco just goes right over it. Dreadserpent to try and peel, but a good fire spin is going to leave him with a double. An assert dominance in the back. Moonchopper has to back up. Fire spin directly onto him. Damage over time. Comeback mechanic available for VP. That's why they're sitting at 81% already. That's why they're probably going to be able to take the point, and Renegades can't even make it back.
If you win the point fight that dominantly with comeback mechanic, there's no way they can make it back.
Yeah.
Viral's still super low in the back line, actually. Has to slither back into spawn, and VP, Stronghold here, they're going to give up a little bit of ground. Don't want to give that Willow good angle. Shadow now moving in to try to find them again. He's going to shot onto Doe, but it's just the Blast Flower stack. And Renegades want to make something happen. Faithlight and Seismic Crash coming in, but what can they get with it?
Yeah, well, at least they're being able to focus fire down onto Cruncy, which they do just unload the clip onto him. They unload the clip on Arrays as well. Fasheko gets taken care of. 3 kills for Renegades, and now they're going to be able to push back, but they're going to try and stagger Doseps. They're going to make sure they kill him right before he jumps off of the side.
Let him jump!
A minute 45 still available for VP to be able to make it back. They've got 4 ultimates up. They still got Dragon Punch. They've got Through Time and Space. They've got Barrage. They've got Dome Shield. They have the tools, and with how low Moonchopper's looking, he's going to go down, and they don't even need to use any of the tools. They're already pushing forward.
Maybe a little bit of an overextension there. Tough to be pushing his con into a vertical disadvantage. You just constantly get shot over your shield. Fish and Raze both doing a ton of damage here, but kills all ending up in Fish's side. He also started morale. I didn't even notice that at the beginning. Not even running quarter wrecker, but makes sense. Most of the damage going to be done with your spit. And that does not apply Cauterize or wrecker. Good to start with that, I think, to stay a little more flexible and have that punch and get rid of the Inara. Aggressive Cruncy here on the side. It might be countered out by the Dread Serpent.
Nice, uses the Dread Serpent to actually keep him CC'd long enough so that Renegades can pick up that kill. They get it. Now the Flutter comes out. Good shots into a Raze in the back line, and Vocal's going to be the one that cleans that one up. They're just going to turn around with 50 seconds left on the clock. VP have to back up. Renegades can now push forward. They've gained some space. Now they're just going to try and look, try and watch, see where people are coming from. 40 seconds left still for VP. They can still make it back, but Renegades are just going to give up that space. They're not going to push anymore forward.
The card's close enough where a lost fight could mean a conversion if VP get it cleanly. Not as many ultimates on the board for RNG, but VP might play this conservatively. If they lose this push, I mean, it's going to be 3-1. If they use ults and don't get it, then Renegades are on game point, excuse me, to get this map and add it to their total here. Spit's coming in from Fish, just try to zone him a little bit. That displacement, so powerful, make it so hard to stay in your one spot. Once he goes deep, it goes down to a Vocal.
Viral actually being killed off means a lot. You see that they're just pretty much getting picked off right now, but a good rocket, better than a good rocket, I would even say a great rocket, onto the back line, onto Invocal, but they still have to back up. Now Renegades are sitting with 4 ultimates. They're up 3-1. They've got the chance to at least capitalize on one more point capture to be able to give themselves a first point in this set against VP.
We'll have to see what ends up happening on the mid fight. Maybe they could find some.
Whoa!
That happens when you shoulder bash in the air. You go straight down, like an anchor in the sea. That's how Cruncy fell straight in.
Literally like Looney Tunes.
We'll have to see how they end up using the ults here. What do they even have to be able to counter what's coming in? Maybe they can use Dread Serpent on the Assert Dominance to try to stagger it out, or they could try to rely on Khan's Overpower to counter it. Dread Serpent not up quite yet, but they have a couple CC ultimates. How's the resilience looking on the side of Virtus.Pro? What do they have? Only the tanks have it, so if they manage to catch a Raze, Vex, or Fish with a Dread Serpent, with a Seismic Crash, that could be a quick kill for Renegades. That could be what they need to make this the aggressive play on the mid work.
Oh my gosh, a Seismic Crash with no one else really able to follow up, but Hero says, I'll do it myself. And make sure he can actually focus into the back line.
Anime villain Hero.
Well, no, the Thanos, more than anything.
Oh, okay.
He's actually going to find 2 kills into back line already. Shadow, he's going to find a third. He is a triple kill. Looking good already for the Renegades. Seismic Crash in the back to zone out 2 members of VP. Now they're able to just focus down onto the frontliners. He actually peels back for Invocal. Once again, just like on Splitstone, he's able to save him, keep him out for a little bit longer. Doseps moves up 12% to 78% already. Erase, though, was able to be picked off due to the overpower. The Dread Serpent comes out to fear everybody away. No one else can stand on point for just a little bit longer. Good Void Grip, and Hero's still gonna go down.
Void Grip so good against Inara when Earthing Guard is at the table. VP holding that whole time. They do manage to get the cap. I thought that getting rid of the Victor was the play, was going to make it a lot easier to hold, but with Hero using the DR to get in and keep that contest going means he was just too open to CC. Melts down on his own. Did Shadow just fall off the map? Untouched?
Yeah, what? Yeah, where'd he go?
Pretty sure he just fell off the map.
Oof.
And that's unfortunate because look at this pressure clumped up from VP here on the side. I don't even know if they noticed, but Khan's shield, Moon, no shield to protect himself right now. Hero walls to just buy some time, but Shadow now back up, finally can get away. But look at all the ground, the objective capture that VP got off of that pick.
They're getting burnt down just on the side. They can really find no room to be able to push forward, to be able to try and contest, because they've been stuck in spawn. Shadow dying in the very, very beginning right there, just as they were pushing, gave so much space to VP. And look at it. And Vocal, thankfully, is at least able to kill Erase, so now they can force them back. You already see that VP are backing off. They don't want to push any more forward than they have to. Good shots, good long-range shots from Vocal to keep Dosips low and unable to walk back to try and touch. Shoulder bash out from Cruncy to make sure that he can escape to safety.
That's at least 6 seconds of safety. 8, I think, on the cooldown. They don't have to worry about Cruncy coming in, but that time's already been spent. Hero's low. Cruncy backs up to the rest of his team. Doesn't want to be too aggressive. Fish has a good angle here. Knocks Moon up a little bit, but no one really there to follow up. And they have to be careful. Vogel's very good at connecting these arrows right now.
Okay, the Faithlight actually gets used. He's trying to get a lay of the land, fire at whoever he feels like is necessary to fire at. The AC 130 above, firing down onto the rest of VP, taking so many shots at so many different targets. It's forcing them all back while also giving him this global aerial presence. It's so important. 35 seconds left with the assert dominance as well. They're going to back up and make sure that they can escape.
I just want to say Shadow jumped because of his streak. I just realized it.
Oh,
he jumped on purpose because he was on a 10 streak, didn't want to give them ultimate. Very smart. It took me a moment. I didn't realize he hadn't died until that point, but now it makes a ton of sense. Now though, VP pushing in. This won't end the game. Quincy goes down, and Hero holding strong on that objective. Moonchopper has to back up. VP has good positioning, but they're down their off tank.
Yeah, I mean, Hero's going to be able to push up, but they lost 2 targets already on the side. It's too much for them to be able to handle, especially with a Void Grip. You put up the wall, but you get Void Grip literally right above it, and no one else can touch. And Vocal's going to try and move on to touch, but it's not going to be enough because VP have already responded in kind with an aggressive push, good picks, and a good round.
And no comeback mechanic, though, now for them going into this, I was about to say potentially final mid, but if it doesn't end here, then, I mean, it would be impossible.
Right.
So this is the final mid fight. No comeback mechanic in it for VP, so they're going to have to win 2 fights unless their first fight is super clean. No Faithlight also up for Renegades. I think that's the only ultimate that's not available for use here. And as we saw there, it was super impactful for them, so not having that might make things a little bit more difficult. Every other ult is available. Assert Dominance going to have to be a little tentative. You don't want to throw it into the overpower. Well, surprised at actually Cruncy and Raze's stat line. Surprised they have 9 deaths each. I mean, not too surprising for Ashe.
Right.
Ashe things. It just kind of happens that way, but Raze is doing a ton of damage, but just not able to find the kills. That's kind of Fishico's job.
Overpower. Oh, no. That's not how you start off a fight. But Vocal is at least able to get the kill onto a Raze. The Dragon Punch comes through. I don't think he is able to make it to Hero. Hero puts up the wall a little bit too close, and Vocal holding his face right there. He actually just got picked off. Was in the back so good, but the assert dominance is the back line. You got a zone.
And no counter.
42%. Yeah, you have no counter to that. What can you do? I don't even know if they'll be able to touch or let alone be able to make it back to point with such an aggressive zone already.
It's possible. Cruncy backed up and Hero's still on mount, so they have a chance to at least touch, but not immediately dying is going to be the question here. Dread Serpent comes in, but what does it stop? Looks like it's the backline. Faithlight coming in as well. They need to find a pick now, but the fight on the side is going VP's way.
Moonchopper goes down, and Vocal is able to get rid of Fishico, but they just pretty much dump everything on the Hero while the fight in the backline is breaking out. They can't move up the touch, and VP now 3-0 against the Renegades.
And that was just... I don't know why they used the overpower that early in the middle of everything, in the face of a Victor backline. There's no way you get away with that, ever. I just don't think that that's safe in any universe, and they pay for it. Not only does Moon immediately go down and give Cruncy better positioning, mind you, Cruncy ends up at the enemy danger, like, oh, I guess I'll just do whatever I want now. They don't have the way to deal with the assert dominance later. Cruncy buys even more time. And I don't know. I don't think there was a way for Renegades to come back in that fight once that happened.
It was unfortunate, especially since they started off literally 3-1 against VP. I mean, they had the pressure. They were getting a lot of good early game plays, but in the later half of the game, VP were able to take it. 3-0 against the Renegades. Renegades, we'll see how they do in Game 4 right after this break.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.
That's 3 in a row for Virtus.Pro, my guys. And before last week, that would have been statistically impossible for the Renegades to come back at this point, Dave.
Yeah.
But we have had our one reverse sweep, so it is possible. I am saying there's a chance. It is just very, very unlikely at this point. Boys are running away with it. I mean, that's a very good indicator of how resilient VP are, man. They were kind of getting slapped around there for a little while. Everyone except for Sheko was not just negative, but like goose egg and some change type of negative.
Yeah, very negative. I don't know what like the closest to statistically impossible is. That's a tough word to say, apparently. Statistically impossible. There we go. I don't know how close to 0 that is, but I think that, you know, if it's 0.0001, maybe there's still the chance. I don't know. I mean, you look at the Renegades, and I figured Shadow would have a good game on this Willow.
And he did.
And he did. But the big moments were kind of mitigated. And the big moments, the 2 deaths, honestly, were at some of the
critical
turning
moments.
points in the game. The end of the game there. Big Faith Light. That's a moment where you can turn this fight around for your team, win yourselves a 0.7, flies in, immediately shot down and turned away by Erase. And you know, for Sheko, we kind of pointed out jokingly on the way back, this is a guy who's playing, feeling, and maybe knowing that he's better than the other guys.
Yeah. This play right here hits that Dragon Punch onto Anar. He's half health against a 80% health Cassie, and he thrusts on it. Says, yeah, no, we win these. We win these, boys.
Yeah.
Keeps VP in this game. This is, I think, when I came back to, like, sat down and watched the game, after I used the restroom, like, he's 4-1.
Yeah.
I'm seeing 0-4, 0-2, 0 and change, folks.
Yep.
He's keeping this squad in the game for the time being. Even the final scoreboard is pretty indicative of that, right? He is wildly positive, and everyone else is just struggling to break even at that point.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff. Maybe there's, you know, sometimes there's more to read into it than that. Erase, you saw him getting dove and seismic crashed. Yep. And good on him, right? In that situation as a victor, you put up your gloves and you do the best you can with what you've got, right? If Fish has the opportunity, though, he's got to swim, and I think Frog is one of his best maps to do just
I agree.
that.
And it comes down to it. It's like the battle of Shadow and Fish, and then, you know, every once in a while one of the teammates will help out. And, you know, the front lines, I think, from the Renegades had a better time that game. It's just those small moments that change big things, and they all came up for VP. Frozen Guard, a bit of a slower map. I think Strix is maybe still in the conversation here. Genos Band actually not all that interesting. I mean, we do see Genos Band out here and there, but I think against Virtus.Pro, Vex has had Genos every single game in this set.
Yeah.
Renegades have opted to give Damba to Viral every single game in this set. I think I don't think Viral has been the issue today for the Renegades. I think the healing's been there, you know,
Supports
some good Dread Serpents. Vex, I do think, may have been some of the problem against the Renegades, though. I think that their Genos plays here and there. Splitstone Corey, a big kind of jumping snipe. He's just so good on that champion. I don't mind them banning him out here, and it just makes good things better. They're going to give Moonchopper the Khan again as their first pick.
Yep.
And, you know, I don't mind it. Again, I think it's fine to try to mitigate some of that discrepancy maybe on the front line, but I don't know. Frog Eye was the best game that these Renegades frontliners have had this set. And I don't know if it was because he was on the Khan. I think it's just kind of one of those, maybe this map is a little bit better for us. So I think it's good maybe to set your front line up for success and hope that your DPSs can continue that momentum that we know them for, and Vocal and Shadow give you a chance to win. But if Virtus.Pro are going to get dose-ups on the Barrack one more time and give Erase a Cassie, the livelihood of these frontliners for the Renegades, you know, continues to go down as this draft goes on.
And this is a very I'll be honest, all 4 DPS players in this match can play Cassie at a high level. Cassie probably cracks the top 4-ish, most likely 5, I think, with confidence you could say, of all of these DPS players. So it's a very versatile pick. And you may say, you know, Khan again, you've done that 3 times already, Renegades. But banning the Genos, you could see what it did to the VP draft. They thought for a long time they juggled with Inara, then they came back to Barrack, and then it ended up being the Cassie for the second selection. So that did, you know, the Renegades are switching it up. They are forcing VP to do something else. They will still grab Eevee Furia here. Obviously, very, very top tier pick for Shadow. Shadow hasn't been receiving a lot of draft focus today. They've really been harping on Invocal, trying to make Jaden as uncomfortable as possible.
And I think actually the Fury is a good pick for the Renegades because in kind of a game of picking back and forth, I think likely Virtus.Pro would have looked for the Furia if it were still around. It's going to be another chance at the Victor for Invocal. Remember back to that Splitstone Quarry game, Virtus.Pro drafted a triple DPS hellbent on diving the Victor over and over and over again, and while the slash line was still good for Invocal, the objective control certainly went missing for the Renegades. They have some good long-range confirm, and maybe one more time let's pick this buck. Maybe one more time let's try to dive Invocal. It worked out last time. Maybe it works here again.
Remember when I said like you can drive a team into their high tier list characters,
right,
and then pick niche stuff against it? This is what that feels like, right?
Yeah.
With Eevee open, with Victor open, stuff that VP has already picked just last game, in fact. They stick with the Cassie, and it's like they're trying to nudge Invocal and Shadow towards these picks. Yes, they're very strong. Yes, they're very strong for these two players, but I just can't shake this feeling like this is what VP wanted them to pick.
Seems that way. And again, the buck into the Victor worked well last time.
Yeah, it's good for Fisheko as well. Let's see if he can grab himself a little title here. Cruncy already did phenomenal on the buck. Fishy has to fill those shoes.
I'm interested in it too. 2 times this set already we've seen the buck. Now it's brought out here again on Frozen Guard. You've got Cruncy on the Ruckus, and I like the fact that Nick put that into perspective. You force the team onto their top picks, and then you can drive the draft sort of by picking those more niche picks.
That's just about having the other team study, right? Knowing what they're going to do. I wouldn't say cleanly Buck counters Victor Eevee. I think it is well enough into them where he can kind of let the draft go that way. I don't know if this is going to be, I was going to say, it is actually Fish on the Buck. I was going to say we saw Fish's Cassie earlier. Could have seen it again if Arrays felt more comfortable there, but we will see Fish's Buck. I don't even know if that's a classic. My knowledge base is actually lacking in the Fisheko Buck department, but I guess we'll see as it goes on. It is bulk up, so playing a little bit more sustained, a little bit more on his own, and already winning this fight, forcing Shadow way back.
Already got a good start by keeping 2 on the right flank right there. The bulk up, making sure that he stays up. The health department, good net as well. He's jumping all the way in the back. They have the aggression. Got first blood on Cruncy, being a little bit too aggressive in that case. But Dosu taking care of Hero. You've got the 21%. Now you're forcing Fisheko back, but you're not hitting the shots, and he's still alive? How? What?
Yeah, that's Buck. Welcome. He's back, baby.
Oh, man.
He will live through everything. Put those hands together, stare you down. There's nothing you can do. Deep breath damage reduction. But now people are running the momentum, heroic leap damage reduction. All that stacks up, and Buck will just live through anything. Renegades trying to get their retake going. Hero does touch the objective, but how long can he last contesting?
They're able to force Arrays out and get the pick on top of that, but Fisheko's already back in. He's able to pick off Invocal. Now he's in the back line, but Viral, Moonchopper, the two of them sticking together. Good snake bite to stun him for a little bit longer. Gave him the window of opportunity to take care of Viral. Cruncy got a kill of his own right onto the Eevee as well. Now they took care of Hero. Now they're taking care of Moonchopper. Now Virtus.Pro have the first point and the first push.
Shielding is con in front of anybody on slightly higher ground than you really is the saddest thing in the game. Honestly, you're like, I'm safe, and then you suddenly get chunked for 1,000, and everything falls apart. Buck, again, leading the damage chart. So effective against what Renegades brought out. Thought it wasn't as hard of a counter pick as it was, but seems to be doing pretty good. Buck's even just farming credits. Why be? This area is so open, no reason to be out there. Just get some extra coins, and Cruncy trying to put some pressure on and actually distracts long enough to maybe make Hero go down. Right now it's only a trade positive for Renegades.
They use the Inflame, they use the Ice Storm to create their opening. They've got their space. Now they're using it. 1 minute 45 seconds left. Still the first point in VP's favor, but they've got plenty of time. They've got the opportunity to utilize their space, to utilize their aggression. And now we see that VP are responding in kind with a good Dread Serpent and an even better kill on the Moonchopper, pushing right and making sure that they can push that payload.
And how forward are Renegades? Are they able to get caught out by this pressure from VP? Maybe. Viral still in the middle of the open, does not get away. Went from full to dead with this great Hexafire by Cruncy.
A good blast shot too, able to lower Viral's health even by just a fraction on the side. Is allowing them to be able to pick them off. Their positioning is too good, along with the aggression. They're not able to do anything. They're pushing them back on frozen guard in their spawn. They can't really move anywhere. They got the kill onto a Raze, which is good. They found that opening, but the dome shield gets dropped. You can't step on the point. And now Moonchopper's done, and so is this round.
I love the dome shield being used to peel for your teammates on any map where the defense has such a strong vertical high ground. Doming and then just having your whole team cluster up in it, so powerful. They don't have through time and space or anything on Renegades' side to chunk through that and force them out. No real option for that, so they get a ton of value out of it. And I also liked one quick little thing is Cruncy did a jump that, can I see his build? I want to see what level of fuel reserves he has in his loadout. I think you need 2 to make the jump. Hey!
Hey!
You need fuel reserves
high
too.
five, Krisnik.
Thank
Wait,
you.
not with this hand, I'm
it's
sick.
fine.
Well,
yeah. You're sick. Let's not high five at all. You need fuel reserves too to make that jump from the platform outside of the mines over to the high ground that the team defends on. And you can actually push from that side area on the left for Cruncy's perspective right now. With that, you can do that and have a flank angle that Ruckuses don't normally take, and I think that caught RNG off guard a little bit. Look at this aggression, though, coming up from VP right now.
Already on the side. Viral is at least able to kill Fasheko, but they got a good overpower. Viral getting that last hit just they throw him off, and then Dosups gets booped off. Triple kill
stole 2
for
kills.
Viral.
He stole 2
No, he 100% stole 2 kills. I 100% agree with that. That's true. Array's is going to roll off on the side, and I don't... Where's the circus music?
They could have given Viral a penta where he actually only got like 2 kills. That would have been fantastic, but Renegades, they just want to get the kill. Don't let him contest by as little time as possible. Cruncy gets stunned and Ice Storm.
Nice.
Good defense here, but I think VP have a touch from Fishiko.
They were able to, but Dosups can't touch for the overtime at all. 99% already good for Fasheko to be able to stand on that point, cause the overtime, and that's good for him. That captures the point. That allows Renegades to have one against VP's 2 currently. 2 minutes, 20 seconds. They just captured it. They're getting their zone, and good shots from Invocal to keep them pinned.
VP playing so aggressive right now. I want to see if they contest the card here. Usually a lot of teams kind of just stop at this point, let the cart roll to the choke so they can defend better, but you can see VP. They don't want to. They want to stop it now. Yeah. Not a lot of teams want to do this, but it looks like they're coming out on the better end of it.
Barrage comes through, but everyone's already in a good enough spot to not be hit by it. And Vocal can't say the same for him. He's eating a lot of bullets. Rockets making sure they take care of Viral. Hero is now just being focused. They're just staring him down. They're able to provide this pressure and this zone. Vex is all the way in the back, spreading out heals to whoever it is that he needs to. They're able to stagger him. They get the stun. They're just keeping him staggered. They get the kill, and now they're able to just sit there and pull the defense.
Sweet air shot rockets by Cruncy too.
Agreed.
Catching Viral mid dash. Ooh, that's rough, but he still
Nice,
has
good
the
back dash.
emitter. Barely gets away at the last second, and Moon a little pressured out. Cruncy has to leave, but once he has those cooldowns back up, Ruckus can keep applying that pressure. They're not really watching the mines. Well, I was going to say they didn't have as many people in the mines as they could, but now with all these people in the mines, now the main's a little bit weak.
Yeah, but in at 15, they're still being held back despite that. Hero opts to go around to help out the fight in the mines. Shadow actually uses the Ice Storm, but he wasn't anywhere close to anybody. Did that get
Might have been a fat finger?
May have been, because I don't see it on anyone.
Well, it's gone now.
Well, yeah, unfortunate. But Cruncy going down, that is at least able to get some type of value. Invoke with a double, Hero with 1. Now they're looking at a raise. He's going to be done. The rest of VP are wiped out. Renegades are able to push up with 3 ultimates still in the bank, and they'll have plenty of time to be able to close this round.
40 seconds on frozen card. It's going to be tough. You got to say, VP bought 2 minutes with that aggressive defense. That's anytime you can buy that much time and force an OT situation when you have such a huge, not only high ground advantage, but spawn timer advantage is a really big deal. And VP, I think, did a great job of it. Once he goes down, being a little bit more aggressive on the side. RNG is completely getting collapsed on here alone on the side.
Moonchopper is by himself as well. He's able to at least commander's grab out of the range. But Fasheko already looking for more. He's on the side, the bulk up to give himself DR and keep himself alive. He's going to keep firing into Moonchopper. Moonchopper's going to go down along with his shield, and he's done too. 1 second left. Hero still on the point. Overtime is there, but they're just able to focus him down. Wall goes up, but he still gets bitten by the snake and finished off by the rest of VP.
Fishiko should be able to clean up these last couple kills. Shadow ice blocking off the point means no contest. And the only ultimate that was used was the Ice Storm, I think by Renegades. It's already back for them, so they're going to have it for this mid-fight if they want to combo something potentially. Smart to not use much of anything. All right, let's see how many kills Viral actually got here. So, 1 kill. That is legitimate. Steals the overpower from Moonchopper. steals the commander's grab from Moonchopper. So he has gotten 1 kill so far. And I think he legitimately kills a Raze here. No, he steals the kill on a Raze as well. So 4 kills, 1 kill earned by Viral. Still, I mean, if he didn't have Inflame, he would have had it at the end of that. I mean, getting all that health, technically jumping off the map, would have been a huge boon if he didn't already have it. But they will have the Inflame pretty early in this mid-fight. Morale boost 3 on Viral, so it's going to be charging very quickly. What are they going to do, though? 5 ultimates on the other side. That's a mountain, honestly, that they have to climb, and they're going to have to make something work. They're going to have to find an opening quickly, and Scout's going to make that significantly harder for them.
It is. They already just wrapped around both teams, giving each other respect and space. But Erase is able to get the first kill on Invocal. You got 48%. Good overpower, though, and just trying to open fire on the Moonchopper, but they're already pushed. Look at how far back they are. They haven't even really been able to push up. The Dome Shield gets dropped by Dosips. They're able to get this aggression, able to get this pressure so well. The Renegades are very unable to respond, but a good kill on the Vex, and he gets disengaged off the side, and then he falls off himself too. What is going on right now? 51% to 35 already because of that mishap. Renegades are able to have 42% on the point, but they still get Shadow.
Invocal recommits without his full team there, and Hexafire forces out all the cooldowns from Hero with retake potentially now unable to be done by him, ignoring the low Hero to go for the healer instead to deny that potential. But look how much time Crunchy's buying for VP.
Hero can't make it back. They can't at all. Moonchopper's right behind him. They get rid of Viral. They get rid of Hero. 96% to 99 to a win. VP run away with that game.
4-0 in set-wise, but honestly, Renegades were fighting for every single. VP had to work for it on every single map, but yeah, in that last one, on that Frozen Guard, they really figured it out. I don't think I've ever seen a team be that aggressive and never feel like they're really losing control. Right. Those fights that they lost, maybe Crunchy goes a little bit forward. That's just kind of Ruckus. You know, sometimes Ash, Ruckus, both of them kind of like, you go in for the play. Sometimes you just go down. Not much you can do, but so much aggression, so much control from VP, and I really felt like even though they fought, it was never really out of their hands.
Yeah, I mean, 4-0 for them, and we mentioned it before in the very beginning of the set. They haven't played since week 8, and yet they still look at peak form. It's going to make it really exciting when they actually have to go up against NIP. That's going to be really sick.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I casted them versus NIP, I casted 8 games.
Yeah.
So, and that's literally impossible. So if we have anything similar to that this time, I'm sure it's going to be great. Both those teams. I mean, VP coming back from being off, looking fantastic. NIP coming back from that slump they had, so that should be a barbarian. That's not what's up next, though.
Right.
But regardless, still got to talk VP and Renegades. Still nice to see VP back in form.
Yeah, we're going to throw it right back to the desk, and then we're going to be into an interview. But I want to hear what their thoughts are on the desk.
Thanks, guys. Great job for Virtus.Pro. Again, I'm not totally sold here yet, Dave. I want to see this match against Ninjas in Pajamas to really get that heat check on Virtus.Pro. We know they left for their break as one of the strongest teams in the league. You know, they come back, and frankly, I think everybody statistically, you know, the gut feeling as well, everything was pointing towards a victory here against the Renegades.
Yep.
Maybe not 4-0, but that's what they gave us.
Yeah, I was curious. I think in reality, this was going to be a Virtus.Pro win. And to kind of echo your point, could have been a 4-1. You could make an argument for a 4-2. But if Virtus.Pro were playing half as well post-break as they did pre-break, I think that they would feel very confident going into this match. And for good reason. I mean, I have to give a hat off to Viral. He had some great plays throughout this game. He's got DPS-looking slash lines there on the Furia. But this is a top-to-bottom Virtus.Pro performance. I think he raised. We haven't shouted him out maybe as much as we normally do today, but played a lot of different stuff and plenty of plays to be proud of here in this game.
Yeah, really awesome from him. It's almost like worth a duo highlight here between Crunchy and Erase. I think Crunchy's been great for this team as well. And he's always in the field of view of Erase. I think this is why it's the better player to show. You get to see a bit of a taste of both Crunchy and Erase from Erase point of view. Is this that sick play?
I think, yeah, he dodge rolls in.
I thought that was in the last round. Yeah, we had some sick moments here
so
from
close.
Erase.
Yeah, 200 health, dodge roll back, disengage.
And he just watches him. Blows him up.
I didn't realize there was a disengage off the map 2 seconds earlier in that clip. He disengaged 2 people in that. That's, even if the slash lines at the end of the game weren't the greatest for Erase, those plays seal things up nicely with the bow. I agree, though. This matchup against NIP later today, one in between, of course, but the last game of the day is Virtus.Pro NIP. That's the true test.
I feel, again, I'm not them, but I think getting just a good back in it, confidence, 4-0. We played a lot of different stuff. We 4-0'd them with a lot of different stuff. That's a VP I'm very scared of now at this point for NIP. Just momentum, just heat check, a lot of intangible stuff going their way. Let's hear from the boys themselves, though. We've got Vex standing by.
Welcome in, guys. Just Vex.
Hey, how you doing? Oh, you're here. Sorry.
Welcome in, guys. Welcome to the 2 of you. 4-0. Now, you guys haven't played since week 8. It's been a while since we've seen you guys here, but you guys had such a strong return to form. How are you guys preparing in your time off?
Do you want to take this, Crunchy?
No.
No? Okay. The way we were preparing is just, we actually took a couple weeks off. We kind of just took our weeks off. We relaxed. That's honestly one of our biggest preparations, was actually taking the time off and kind of just giving ourselves time to get away from the game and do other things for a little while. So we prepped a little bit. We had some scrims, but we actually took time off during the month.
Because of that, does it feel different at all being back here in the studio as a unit again?
For me, it felt natural. I mean, I think for the whole team, the environment, the whole atmosphere of everything, it felt natural. We've got right into the groove of things. The first game was a little bit weird because we were trying to be too aggressive. We were moving too fast first game, but it felt fine.
Well, one thing, as I feel like I have to ask is something as we've seen before. The bug was brought out twice this set. What made you guys feel like that? Do you guys found out something with bug that you can include in your composition regularly, or what's the thought process behind that?
Buck is one of those characters that he's very situational, and we found a couple of good situations to put him in. Buck, I don't know, he's still weird in the meta, so we were just kind of trying him out against Renegades, see where he's at, if he's going to be good or not.
Crunchy, 15-5 on the Buck. It seems like you know where he's at in the meta. When's the right time to Buck? How long have you had a Buck in the back pocket? I mean, I have so many questions about this character for you.
I just I felt like it. I felt like playing it, and I wanted team. I want Buck. Give me Buck.
Yeah, is Renegades a good team to run Buck into? Because they run a lot of Victors and stuff like that. Do you feel comfortable walking them into a Victor pick and then counter picking it?
It felt pretty easy, to be honest.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for it in the future. We'll have to keep an eye out for VP in the future, man. This is a team looking dangerous, looking ready to go. We're going to throw it to a quick break. We got plenty more PPL action coming your way.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Premier League.